Saving 20 pounds a month when everything costs more than ever? What's the point? Actually, here's the point. When energy bills are higher than they were 2 years ago, when the weekly grocery shop costs noticeably more, when rent has increased and wages haven't kept pace, when you look at your savings pot and the amount in it feels laughably inadequate compared to what any real financial goal actually requires, the question becomes completely legitimate. What's the point? Why save 20 pounds a month when a house deposit requires 50,000? Why put money aside when inflation is eroding its value anyway? These aren't defeatist questions. They're honest questions that deserve honest answers. And the answers are more compelling than you might expect. 20 pounds a week is just over 1,000 pounds a year. Over 5 years, at a modest interest rate, that's well over 5,000 pounds. Over 10 years, closer to 13,000. These aren't life-changing sums if your goal is a house deposit in London, but they're genuinely meaningful for an emergency fund, a car fund, a holiday fund, or a starting investment account. And the element the maths alone doesn't capture is this. The habit you're building by saving those 20 pounds every week is worth more than the 20 pounds itself. You're building the financial muscle that scales. When your income increases, the same habit saves more. The amount matters less than the practice. One of the most consistent findings in research on financial behavior is that saving without a specific named goal is significantly harder to sustain than saving towards something concrete. Saving 20 pounds a week into an account labeled savings feels abstract and joyless. Saving 20 pounds a week into an account labeled Paris 2026 or car repair fund or emergency fund feels purposeful and directional. The goal doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be impressive. It just needs to be specific enough that each contribution feels like measurable progress towards something real. Rename your savings accounts. Give each pot a destination. The psychological difference between abstract saving and purposeful saving is substantial and costs nothing to implement. Visual progress tracking is one of the most underrated motivational tools in personal finance, and the research behind why it works is genuinely compelling. When you can see progress, even slow progress, your brain responds with small dopamine releases that reinforce the behavior that created the progress. A savings thermometer on your phone or your wall, a simple spreadsheet chart showing the trend line moving upward, a progress bar in your Notes app showing the percentage toward a specific target, coloring in a hand-drawn grid where each square represents a certain amount saved. These work not because they're sophisticated, but because they make invisible progress visible. Invisible progress feels like no progress. Visible progress, however small, feels like momentum. The most expensive financial decision most people make without realizing it is stopping saving entirely during difficult periods and intending to restart when things improve. The habit of saving, once broken, is significantly harder to restart than to maintain at a reduced level. The psychology of starting again from zero feels heavier than the psychology of continuing at a smaller amount. And the compound growth clock that was running, even slowly, stops entirely when saving stops. Reducing contributions to 5 pounds a week during a genuinely tight period is not defeat. It's intelligent financial management that preserves the habit and the momentum. Stopping entirely, however understandable in the moment, costs more than the missed contributions. The uncomfortable truth about difficult economic periods is this. The cost of living crisis makes saving harder for most people. That's real, and it shouldn't be minimized. But it simultaneously makes having savings more important than ever. Every pound saved before a crisis hits is a pound you don't have to borrow at interest during the crisis. Every month of contributions maintained through difficult conditions is a month of compound growth that compounds on everything that follows. The people who feel the financial squeeze of difficult economic periods least acutely are disproportionately the people who built financial buffers during easier periods. Hard times aren't a reason to stop saving, they're the reason saving existed in the first place.
You're not alone in finding this difficult right now. The combination of cost of living pressures, wage growth that hasn't kept pace with inflation, housing costs absorbing an increasingly large share of most incomes, and general economic anxiety has made the basic advice to just save more feel genuinely disconnected from reality for a lot of people. Acknowledging that isn't pessimism, it's honesty. And within that honest acknowledgement, the fact that you're still looking for ways to save, still trying, still asking the question, puts you meaningfully ahead of the majority who simply stopped thinking about it. You're still in the game. That matters more than the amount.
When saving feels pointless, save anyway. Not because the amount is impressive, not because it solves the big financial challenges immediately, because the habit is building something that compounds over time in ways that aren't visible in the early months. Because future you, looking back at the period you're in right now, will be genuinely grateful that present you kept going even when it was difficult. The 20 pounds a week that felt pointless becomes the emergency fund that absorbs the car repair that would otherwise have gone on a credit card. The credit card that doesn't get used doesn't accumulate interest. Small decisions compound in both directions. Keep the habit. Keep going. Subscribe to MoneyPatch. We're here for all of it. Small steps, big change.